Hey there riders, MotoJourno Chris here today, and I wanted to have a chat about fitting a set of adjustable levers to your Ninja 400 or pretty much any other bike. It's a really simple job, something that you can do in probably 5 to 10 minutes, so even less time than this video goes for. And as long as you've got the very basic tools and a decent set of adjustable levers, you'll be able to do this yourself in no time at all. One thing to keep in mind, you can buy really inexpensive levers off eBay, but what you will find is that the quality of the lever can be quite low, and particularly the nuts and bolts and things like that that are used can be pretty subpar, which is going to have a real effect on the the life of the lever. So as you can see here, I have got the stock lever on the bike as well as the adjustable lever. The big benefit here is, of course, that it's span adjustable, which means if you've got a smaller hand, you'll be able to adjust that lever to suit, or if you've got a larger hand and you prefer a longer reach on that brake side particularly, then that will work for you as well. And in some circumstances, it's actually better to have a little bit more span on the brake side, as if you're really braking hard, you'll end up, with the brake lever coming back to the bars. So something to keep in mind there if you're into sportier riding. While on the clutch side, of course, it's really important that you're able to control that with a bit of finesse, and having a little bit of adjustability there certainly helps as well. One thing as well to keep in mind there is you still need to adjust your clutch properly on the clutch side, and the actual adjusters on the lever itself don't affect the actual adjustment of the clutch cable. They only affect your reach on that lever itself. So you still need to think about both of those aspects. You can't fix a clutch cable problem with a set of aftermarket levers which are adjustable. Okay, so let's get started. First off, you only need some very basic tools. As mentioned, you will want a 10mm socket and a 10mm spanner, and you will be good to go. Essentially, both of these levers are just held on by a bolt and essentially a lock nut, and the perch itself is also threaded on the Ninja 400, so the bolt will go through the lever, then it will basically screw in to the bottom of the perch, and then you put the nut on the bottom to make sure nothing comes loose, because that would be catastrophic on the run. So I'm just going to remove that, and on the brake side, you can see we've just got the bolt here that will need a little bit of grease when you put it back in, and the lever comes straight off. And as you can see, the lever basically has two parts. There's one point which the pivot runs through, and in some levers there'll be a sleeve in there just to make it the right size. That's a non-removable sleeve in that one. And of course the aftermarket lever we've got is a perfect fit. I'm just checking that there. And on top of that, you've basically got the point on the lever which pushes into the master cylinder, and then you've also got the point which hits that brake switch which puts the lights on. And as you can see, they're pretty similar, of course, which is important because they both need to work in the same spots. And I've got the grease there ready to go to put onto the bolt itself and onto the lever generously, just to make sure that all the moving parts are gonna basically move and not corrode or have anything build up in them that could be a problem. Now just here, I've just wiped down the perch itself, and I've put a little bit of grease onto that bolt, and I'm going to put the new lever in, just adding a little bit more of the grease there, as you can see, just to the inside, because it is a moving part, and that helps ensure that everything, as I said, moves nice and easily, and also that the lever slides in, because the grease can help keep it in place just until you get that bolt in. Also keep in mind with that pivot point, it's good to run a bit of grease down through there, because obviously the whole lever is pivoting around that bolt which runs through. And line everything up, just slide the lever into place once you've figured out exactly how it goes in. It should be really simple, and it is a simple matter of just lining it up to where the bolt goes through, and then run the bolt through and just do it up very lightly by hand. Once you've tightened it appropriately, it will come down through the bottom of the perch, through the thread there, and that's when you'll be able to add the nut underneath. And luckily on this side there's plenty of room for doing all this, so it's a very easy job. We'll just tighten that by hand, and it just basically needs tightening now, and it's a simple matter of cleaning off any additional grease and just making sure that you're happy with wherever that lever is going to be within that span of adjustability. With the adjustability, one thing that I always keep in mind on is if you're using only say 2 fingers braking, you need to make sure that that's not coming back to the bar. I prefer to have a little bit of extra span on that lever, and that way, as I've said before, it can come a bit further in to the bar itself without affecting me, and you won't get your fingers caught up in it if you are braking with 2 fingers, for instance, which can be a very painful experience if you find that happens. So get that into the perfect position and you're good to go. So now we'll move on to the clutch side. As you can see here, the clutch adjustable lever is just like the brake lever, except it's got room to basically take that clutch cable. It's a nice high quality clutch lever from SDR with that full range of adjustability, and I'm just going to undo the stock lever. All it is again, it's a nut underneath. The clearances on this one is very, very small. I had to really force the socket in there to get it over the nut and then to undo it, as I'm doing here. But that's the hardest part of this job, really. So just undo that bottom nut, make sure you don't lose it and that it doesn't roll away, as you'll need that for fitting the new lever. And once that's out of the way, you can basically move straight on to removing the bolt on the top, as that is what's going to be holding the lever in now that you've removed that nut. Again, 10mm socket, very, very easily, that just unscrews straight out. Very easy job. Don't force anything. It should, once you've basically cracked the bolt, come out by hand essentially. And again, with that bolt, I just give it a clean and put a bit of extra grease on, and I'm now going to pull that lever out. Now, as you can see, the lever is connected to the clutch cable, and on the clutch perch you will need to undo the adjusters and turn them, so not only are they loose but also so that the clutch adjusters themselves are all aligned so that the cable can pull through and that you've got a bit of freeway with that lever. It's a little bit complex sounding, but it's a very easy job. And then once you do that, you just turn the lever over and the little bobbin on the end of that cable will come straight out of the lever, and that's just got to go into the new lever. And I would recommend putting a little bit of grease on that again. And as you can see, you've got a small section where that basically slides into the lever itself. So we just grab our clutch lever and we're going to align that, make sure that it all fits in place, and then we're going to put the clutch cable in. And one of the things with this particular job, it was very, very easy to do because of the way the adjusters work. So we just slip that into place, there's a bit of grease on it, turn it over, slide the lever itself into the perch, align it, and just make sure that that cable is properly in place, because you don't want it to be wearing against anything, because that will obviously cause problems down the track. Get the lever itself into place, run that bolt in, just do it hand tight, get it down into place. You may need your socket, and tighten it up just hand tight, and then it will be time to put the nut on down the bottom, which again, you don't have much clearance here, so this is the most annoying part of this job. Just do it by hand, and once you've got it a bit threaded on, you'll be able to use your spanner, or your socket I should say, because the clearances are so small. And to tighten it up, just tighten it up, and then it's just a simple matter of adjusting that clutch lever for play. I spent a couple of different rides adjusting it till I got it perfect, but I got it in the ballpark just when I did the lever fitment. And it is an idea to keep a real close eye on that, because with such a light clutch lever pull on the Ninja 400, you will need to be really careful, because it's easy to run it out of adjustment and not even realize, simply because that clutch is so light. So I've got those levers fitted. Very, very easy job. They look a fair bit cooler than the standard ones. The black does not stand out against the bike at all. I kind of regret not getting some green ones, but they wouldn't have matched the color, so at the end of the day, I think the black ones work really, really well, and they're less likely to fade, I hope. The SDR I've always found to be good quality. They've got, good fixings in them, and they work really well. And overall, I'm really, really happy with that install. And I'll just keep an eye on them and double check all of the the bolts and nuts for the fitment in a ride or two, and I'll just work on the adjustability. One thing to keep in mind if you are planning on doing this mod is make sure that you get a set of levers for the 2018 Ninja 400. There was an older Ninja 400 available in some markets, and you don't want to end up with levers for that because as far as I can tell, they are not compatible. Anyway, if you've got any questions, let me know. As always, stay safe out there. Don't forget to sub, hit that notification bell, and I'll be back soon. Thank you.